रूस के राष्ट्रपति व्लादिमीर पुतिन की तरफ से सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल की बैठक बुलाई गई है। ईरान के हालात पर चर्चा के लिए बैठक बुलाई गई है। रशिया की तरफ से लगातार प्रतिक्रियाएं दी गई है। जब अमेरिका की तरफ से धमकियां आ रही थी, इजराइल की तरफ से सिर्फ धमकियों का दौर चल रहा था, तब रूस पूरी तरह से साथ में खड़ा था और रूस की तरफ से प्रतिक्रिया आ रही थी। और अब सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल की बैठक बुलाई गई है, पुतिन की तरफ से ये बैठक बुलाई गई। ये बड़ी खबर आपको दे दें, ये बड़ी खबर, ईरान के हालात पर यह चर्चा बुलाई गई है। रूस और चाइना का स्टैंड क्या रहेगा इस पर, ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा कि क्या वो सीधे युद्ध में शामिल होंगे।
हिसाब से देखें तो ये इलाका ईरान, पहली बात यह है कि रूस के साथ में एक रणनीतिक सहयोगी के तौर पर रहा है। साथ ही यहाँ से जो है ईरान के से रूस की भी काफी नजदीकी रही है, सामरिकी नहीं भौगोलिक नजदीकी भी बनती है। और ऐसे में सुरक्षा परिषद की बैठक का बुलाया जाना केवल इस लिहाज से महत्वपूर्ण नहीं है, तेजी से घटनाक्रम बदल रहा है। कुछ दिनों पहले ईरान के साथ में सैन्य अभ्यास भी रूस ने किया था, लेकिन रूस का इस लड़ाई में सीधे तौर पर शामिल होना अभी संभावना के तौर पर नहीं देखा जा रहा है। इसलिए नहीं देखा जा रहा है क्योंकि रूस इस समय पहले ही यूक्रेन के मोर्चे पर उलझा हुआ है और वो चाहेगा कि इस स्थिति का लाभ उठाते हुए वो जमीन पर यूक्रेन के मोर्चे पर अपनी स्थिति को और कंसोलिडेट करे। चूंकि अमेरिका का सारा ध्यान इस समय इस पश्चिम एशिया के इलाके के अंदर होगा, वो अपनी पोजीशन को वहां कंसोलिडेट करना चाहेगा।
इस बात की संभावना कितनी कि आप कोई भी बैठक, कोई भी देश बुला ले, ये युद्ध रुकेगा नहीं। उसके पीछे की वजह इसलिए क्योंकि पहले साइंटिस्ट को आप मार चुके, उनके परमाणु कार्यक्रम को हमने सालों पीछे छोड़ दिया है, धकेल दिया। ये डोनाल्ड ट्रंप के बयान थे, फिर अचानक उनका परमाणु कार्यक्रम फिर से उपज गया, फिर से अमेरिका को खतरा होने लगा। आप एक अटैक कर रहे हैं, यानी कि सारी चीजें आप भूमिका बना रहे हैं ना।
देखिए, भूमिका बहुत पहले से थी राजीव। अगर आप देखें तो राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने कभी भी इसके अंदर कोई छुपाया नहीं कि वो ईरान में क्या करना चाहते हैं। वो तो सीधे सीधे तौर पर कह रहे हैं कि ये रजीम चेंज करना है हमें। इसका नाम ही एपिक फ्यूरी दिया गया है। आज जब उन्होंने भाषण दिया तब भी उन्होंने जिक्र किया कि 79 से हम देख रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से ईरान जो है वो डेथ टू अमेरिका कह रहा है। हम इस चीज को बर्दाश्त नहीं कर सकते हैं। वो मेक ईरान ग्रेट अगेन का नारा दे रहे हैं मागा के साथ साथ। तो वो लगातार संकेत दे रहे हैं। वेनेजुएला का ऑपरेशन से एक दिन पहले भी अगर आप देखें तो उन्होंने कहा था कि जो कुछ ईरान में हो रहा है, विरोध प्रदर्शन जनता कर रही है, उसे हम देख रहे हैं। वी आर लॉक्ड एंड लोडेड एंड रेडी टू गो, ये उन्होंने लिखा था। साथ ही उन्होंने ये भी कहा था कि द हेल्प इज ऑन योर वे। तो इस तरीके के बयानों के साथ वो लगातार, उन्होंने कभी कोई छुपाया नहीं कि वो ईरान में क्या करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। लेकिन जिस तरीके से वो करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, सारे देशों की चिंता इस बात को लेकर है कि क्या होगा। दुनिया का 30 से 40% जो तेल सप्लाई है वो स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज से, यानी इसी खाड़ी के इलाके से आता है, पहली बात। दूसरी बात यह है कि अगर इस पूरे इलाके के अंदर यदि जंग भड़कती है तो उससे भारत और चीन जैसे जो देश हैं, जो कि दुनिया के बड़े ऊर्जा आयातक देश भी हैं, साथ ही भारत जैसा देश जिसकी बड़ी आबादी, करीब 90 लाख की आबादी इस खाड़ी के और पश्चिम एशिया के इलाके में रहती है, उसकी चिंता है। चाहे अनचाहे आप भी इस लड़ाई का उसके कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस या उसका दुष्प्रभाव झेलने के लिए मजबूर हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि ये लड़ाई का, इस जंग का दायरा बहुत ज्यादा तेजी से फैल रहा है। इसलिए भारत जैसे देशों की भी चिंता है। लेकिन डोनाल्ड ट्रंप यहां पर रजीम चेंज के अपने ऑपरेशन के ऊपर आगे बढ़ते हुए नजर आना चाहते हैं और उन्होंने जिस तरीके से साथ फैलाई है।
खामिनेई का विकल्प क्या डोनाल्ड ट्रंप के दिमाग में पहले से तय है, जैसे वेनेजुएला में था? क्या यहां पर तय है उनके दिमाग में कि किसको लेकर आएंगे खामिनेई की तरफ? कौन उनकी पसंद है?
देखिए, मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये थोड़ा जल्दबाजी होगी कि अभी क्या होगा, क्योंकि इतनी जल्दी से, इससे पहले भी हमने देखा है कभी भी एयर ऑपरेशन से, बमबारी से सत्ताएं नहीं बदला करती हैं राजीव। सत्ताएं बदलने के लिए बहुत सारे दूसरे कारक चाहिए। और दूसरी बात हमने देखा है कि मिलिट्री ऑपरेशन से ईरान का ही पड़ोसी है इराक, जहां पर 2003 में अमेरिकी फौजों ने जाकर सद्दाम हुसैन को तो हटा दिया था, लेकिन उसके बाद जो हुआ वो एक ऐसा जख्म था, एक ऐसी चीज थी जो बाद में नासूर की तरह आज तक फैली हुई है, जहां अस्थिरता है, जिसने आईसिस को खड़ा किया। तो क्या अमेरिका यहां पर बूट्स ऑन ग्राउंड कमिट करना चाहता है? क्या अमेरिका अपनी फौजें भेजेगा वहां पर, जो कि बहुत मुश्किल होगा।
लेकिन अब सब कह रहे हैं कि हमें वापस आना है और सरकार पहले ही मैसेज जारी कर चुकी थी। इस बीच में बड़ी खबर, मिडिल ईस्ट में युद्ध से यूरोप में देखिए जबरदस्त हलचल है। यूरोप के कई देशों की प्रतिक्रिया आई है, कुछ साथ में है, कुछ खिलाफ में। लेकिन इस बीच में ब्रिटिश पीएम ने फ्रांस, जर्मनी के नेताओं के साथ बातचीत की है। स्पेन की तरफ से भी एक जो है प्रतिक्रिया आई थी, जो कि गौर करने वाली बात है। लेकिन हमारे साथ संवाददाता प्रणय जुड़े। प्रणय, यूरोपियन यूनियन का क्या इसमें स्टैंड दिख रहा है?
देखिए, यूरोप के भी बहुत सारे हित इस इलाके से जुड़े हुए हैं, क्योंकि ये जो क्षेत्र है, पूरा क्षेत्र, यहाँ से यूरोप के लिए ट्रेड जाता है। खासतौर पर अगर हम लाल सागर के इलाके की बात करें, सुएज कैनाल के वाया जो पूरा ट्रेड जाता है, इससे ट्रेड रूट इंपैक्ट हो रहा है। साथ ही एनर्जी सप्लाई जो है यूरोप की, वो भी इससे प्रभावित होती है। तो निश्चित रूप से इसमें यूरोप के भी हित हैं। लेकिन यूरोप जो इस समय है, उसकी चिंता दोहरी है कि अगर सारा ध्यान इधर जाता है तो जो रशिया यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, जो कि यूरोप के दरवाजे पर चल रहा है, उसको उसकी तरफ से ध्यान हटेगा और ऐसे में उसकी चिंता है कि कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि इस स्थिति को कैपिटलाइज कर लिया जाए। साथ ही ईरान के खिलाफ अगर आप रुख को देखें तो चाहे जर्मनी हो, चाहे फ्रांस हो, चाहे ब्रिटेन हो, ये यूरोप के जो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज हैं, ये जो बड़े देश हैं, ये ईरान को लेकर खुलकर बयान दे चुके हैं। खासतौर पर ईरान की जो रिजीम है उसके न्यूक्लियर एम्बिशंस को लेकर लगातार बयान और साथ ही सख्त रवैया, सैंक्शंस, ये सामने आता रहा है। आपको याद होगा कुछ दिनों पहले राजीव, जब अमेरिका की तरफ से सैंक्शन किया गया था ईरानियन रिजीम के और आईआरजीसी के लोगों को, तो उसको फॉलो करते हुए उसी तरीके के जो सैंक्शंस हैं वो ईरान के खिलाफ यूरोपीय देशों की तरफ से भी लगाए गए थे। ईयू ने भी वही समझौता दिखाया।
जी प्रणाम, बने रहिए हमारे साथ। एक और बड़ी खबर देते हैं, इसमें यूएई से बड़ी खबर मिल रही है। यूएई में ईरान ने
Ms. Jamali, is the Muslim world or the Islamic world divided on this? Are there several countries that still stand with Iran, not in favor of the use of force for a regime change operation, and to perhaps still see that there is more scope for dialogue?
Honestly, I personally, as an Iranian, I welcome the Muslim world to take their vow of silence off, step out of it, and stand with the Iranian people and support the rescue mission that is in place to free the Iranian people against this tyrannic regime. If they truly are the faithful Muslims that they are, they should not stand by and support a supreme leader that has opened fire on hundreds of thousands of Iranians in the space of 48 hours. So honestly, considering the silence and the lack of support that the Muslim world has shown to the Iranian people over the past massacre alone, I don't really have much room for them other than the fact that the room is always open, the door is always open for them to show up and support Iranian people. If they cannot do that, please stand aside.
Give me a moment and stay with me. I quickly want to now cut across and bring in Elion Levy into this conversation, former spokesperson in Benjamin Netanyahu's office in Tel Aviv. Elion Levy, welcome. Your reading of the current situation, is this now an aimed regime change operation in Iran? Is that underway currently? The Shield of Judah.
Israel and the United States are joining a joint operation against the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is a regime that for decades has pursued a policy of death to America, death to Israel, trying to pursue nuclear weapons, build ballistic missiles to arm proxy terrorist armies across the region, and as we've seen, brutally slaughtering their own people and crushing the brave, noble Iranian people with a regime of terror. This is a regime that is at its weakest point ever as a result of a war of aggression in the last 2 years that has backfired and gone very badly for Iran. We're yet to hear official remarks from Israel or the United States about what the goals of this operation are, but I would be very surprised if the goal is simply to reduce the Iranian threat for a little bit, knowing that they will go back to aggression in future. Israel and the United States understand that the #1 threat to regional stability in Western Asia is the Islamic Republic of Iran, and that threat has to be dealt with head on.
So explain this to me, because you and I have been talking from the 7th of October 2023, including in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, when that terror attack took place, going after that fountainhead, as Israel calls it, going after the regime in Iran. Is this all aimed as one giant effort to ensure that all Israel's adversaries are dealt with?
Let me put it the other way around. All those attacks were one joint effort by the Iranian regime and its proxies to attack Israel. The attack on October 7th was not just a terror attack, it was an invasion by an Iranian proxy army, Hamas. And the next day, Iran's proxies in Lebanon, Hezbollah, also started firing missiles at Israel, and they were joined by the Iranian regime's proxies in Yemen and Iraq, and eventually the Iranian regime itself. The Israeli people have for the last 2 years been
on military targets inside Iran. The United States has hit Iran both through air and it's not just, as was being initially reported, just strikes by Israel. Iran, of course, has pledged massive retaliation against Israel and US strikes. Iran has said there will be a crushing response to US and Israel soon. Israel's Operation Shield of Judah is currently underway. And Elon Levy, your appreciation of what the counter-attack may be, because Iran has a sizable number of hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles that can target Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and other parts, not just of Israel, but also the flotilla at sea.
The Iranian regime retaliates for these attacks on regime and military targets by launching ballistic missiles at Israeli cities. Let me be clear. The Iranian regime is going to try to target Israeli families, Israeli homes, with ballistic missiles and drones. That is what happened during the 12-day war in June. Iranian ballistic missiles destroyed apartment buildings. They hit a hospital. They targeted city centers, places nowhere near any military facilities. And that is what we're expecting to happen now. That's why everyone in Israel was woken up this morning by sirens and by emergency alerts on our phones saying, make sure you know where the nearest bomb shelter is.
Okay, we're getting the first reaction. Elon, give me a moment. First reaction from US President Donald Trump. America's president has responded to the strikes that have just taken place. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. This is the US President Donald Trump making it very clear that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon.
Apparently you can go from 0 to a complete site in just a single prompt with Wix harm.
Donald Trump's first statement, Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. The United States is also saying that the strikes...
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again, they can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one, every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war, but we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not, America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Massive statement from US President Donald Trump, and as President of the United States of America, President of the United States has said so in as many words. He's also said that America will destroy and highly obliterate any capabilities that Iran's navy, their missiles, their missile manufacturing, they have whatever capabilities they have will be obliterated. He's made that very clear. Iran will never pose a threat to any country in the future. Very, very strong statement from the American president, and he's telling the people of Iran, as of now, stay home. But the moment there's the opportunity, there will be a regime change, your only chance to change the regime in Iran. And we will listen to that entire statement once again. They will destroy Iran's missiles. And I first want to get in a word from Ilahi Jamali, an Iranian activist who joins us on the show. Music to your ears, Ms. Jamali, that this is indeed now a regime change operation.
Absolutely. I welcome the president's statement. It's incredibly reassuring. Of course, Iranians will shiver at the thought of bombs dropping everywhere. But I'm sure that statement is targeted at the regime facilities, IRGC, like the president mentioned himself. And the option of immunity for those who are willing to put down their arms and join the people. It's reassuring for those who are afraid of what can happen next. And this message of unity with the Iranian people, this message of hope for action, while action and kinetic action is actually happening on the ground, is welcome, is
looking at it as massive escalation over the next perhaps 24 to 48 hours, maybe even longer, because Iran will also strike back. Iran will also strike, like the foreign minister told India today, to ensure that there will be consequences for the entire region, including American bases in the region.
His fear at the moment is for the Iranian people, as this regime has already dropped bombs on Iranian people.
Yes, but now it will go beyond. Give me a moment. Elon Levy, how do you see this escalate from this point on? Because this is a very clear declaration of war on the regime in Iran.
Yeah, there is a mistake on your screen right now. It says Iran under attack, but America and Israel are not attacking Iran. They're liberating Iran.
Sir, that's your perspective. That is your perspective, and I respect your perspective on that.
Regime that has oppressed them.
Sir, that is your perspective, and I respect your perspective on that. But on the factual position right now, do you see this as a full-blown war in the region now, Elon Levy?
The United States and Israel have launched a joint operation that is targeting the regime. President Trump has said very clearly, this is a war that is going to obliterate the regime's military capabilities and encourage the good, brave, noble people of Iran to rise up and take their freedom, because this may be their only opportunity in generations. The Iranian regime will likely lash out. It will likely lash out by attacking Israeli civilian population centers. We are bracing here in Israel for ballistic missile attacks on our cities, on our families, on our homes. But everyone in Israel will be nodding along to that very important speech by President Trump. I think one of the most important speeches ever given by a US president, who's not trying to dodge the problem in West Asia or skirt around the issue. He's looking at it head on and saying the major threat to stability, to life, to prosperity in Western Asia has been the Islamic Republic of Iran, and that is on the crosshairs right now.
Because Donald Trump, and you will hear him in just a moment, once again as we play out his reaction, is making it very clear that Iran attempted to rebuild its nuclear capabilities, and that cannot be permitted. Before that, I quickly want to come and I want you to listen in. I want both our guests also to listen in to Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in that exclusive interview to my colleague Geeta Mohan. He made one thing very clear. There's a lot of fake news that's floating. He insists that they were not making a nuclear weapon, and we're getting you all sides of the story. I want you to listen in to Abbas Araghchi on Donald Trump.
What do you think is the motivation that brings Trump to a position where he's so anti-Iran? Where does this come from? Does it stem from Israel, the ally?
Well, it's a long story, I have to say. Everything began from the Islamic Revolution in Iran. I think Americans failed to understand why it happened. So they started, hostility against that. So in the past 47 years, we have been the the subject or the victim of their hostility against us. And they have tried everything. They tried coups several times. They helped Saddam Hussein to impose an 8-year war against us. Last year, another war, all kind of sanctions, maximum pressures policy, and they failed. All of them, they failed. Why? Because they have no, real information about Iran and Iranian people. And they are fed with, misinformation campaign, mostly by, Israeli lobbies. So I believe that the only solution to talk is to talk with the Iranian people with the language of respect. And if they try that language, they will see the result, that we would also talk with them with the same language. But if they want to use pressure, language of force, then the result is as we see. So let's hope that we can change the approaches and come to a better way of dealing with each other.
And that clearly is not to happen, at least not now. I also want to bring into this conversation Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former top diplomat. He's served extensively in the region, joins us on this broadcast. Gillian Stark remains with us on this, as does Elon Levy. Ambassador Dayal, this is now a full-blown conflict, a regime change operation that President Trump has just announced?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It is a full-scale war intended to bring about a regime change. Now, there were talks of, some sort of negotiations between the United States and Iran over nuclear issues and to have a nuclear deal. All that was a facade. The Americans clearly wanted a regime change, and they were going through the talks just by way of motion. Now, the Omani foreign minister yesterday said very clearly that Iran